Hello. Hello, Harold. You're muted. I thought I know I'm deaf, but I'm not that deaf. Oh, I went to renew my driver's license.
Yeah, how'd it
I
go?
don't have to take a test. I don't have
good.
But the eyes, shit,
Yeah.
I almost didn't pass it.
Really?
And you have to take now the passport and proof of residence, like gas bill, electric bill.
Really? But what if you just cross the border? Then what?
You have to invent a gas bill and electric bill. But I didn't want to wait for an appointment. They were going to give it to me in April.
No.
I walked in, I was there 20 minutes waiting,
Yeah.
and it took 10 minutes,
But that's not so bad.
the paperwork. But luckily, she realized I was half blind, so she took me to a machine,
Uh-huh.
and you can see a little bit better. But she made me cover my right eye, and my left eye is the problem.
I'm gonna go back and tell her.
Yeah.
Nun Ches Amud Aleph, 58.
Okay.
Ger Shai Sohairasa Shalo Bigdusha V'Leidosa Bigdusha. A ger, when he was born, his parents were goyim at conception, and then his mother converted before the birth. So then Yesh Lo She'er Ha'em, he would have forbidden relations, the relatives of his mother. They're considered related to him. Even though normally a ger, when he is Megaya, he's like a Kekotin Shenoy Ladami.
Yeah.
But Ein Lo Sher Aha, but relatives of his father, like his father's sister, etc., are not related to him. HaKetzad. So Nasa Achoysom in Ha'em, if his mother's sister had converted and he had married her, Yotzi, Midrabanon, even though technically when he was a Nochri, he was also forbidden to live with his mother's sister. Now, even though after he's Megayer, it's not as if he's related to them anymore, because he's like a Ger Kekotin Shenoladami. They continued the Isser, because otherwise it would be more stringent for him when he was a Goy than he was a Jew. So we make a Gzeira that it's Usser. But if it's his father's sister, Minad Yikayim, because there is no, the only time B'nai Noach were prohibited to live with family members, it's family related to the mother. Because Avram Avinu says, "V'gam amna achosi basavihi, achlo basimi." So only a basa'av, daughter of an Av, would be okay, but not the daughter of a mother. So Ben Noach is prohibited to live with relations related to the mother. So Achos Av, they have to get divorced. If the father and the father and the mother were if the father had a sister and they're from the same mother, so then he would not be able to live with her. He would have to divorce. But if they were only related through the same father, then Yikayim. Similarly, Achos Ha'em and Ha'em, an aunt, your mother's sister, Yotzi, but Achos Ha'em and Ha'av, but the father's sister from the same mother, father's sister from the same father, Rav Meir Yotzi, because there's a little bit of a mother relationship, because it's achos ha'em and ha'av. Any erva that is related to a relative, you have to be yotz. Mishum shera, that's only related to the mother. Mishum shera av yikai. And according to everybody, muter be'eshes achi v've'eshes achi avi. He, for example, his brother from the same father, that brother's wife, he could live with, or the uncle, the father's brother's wife. All of those ushar klorais mutaras lo. To add lasuya eshes aviv, that in fact the father's wife, not while they're married, of course, if the father died or divorced her, he could marry the eshes aviv. Nasa ger isha ubita. Let's say he married a mother and a daughter. Koines achad u'moitziachas. He only can live with one of them. Because you can't, even a Yisrael can't do that. Mesa ishto, if a Nochri's wife dies, muter b'chamoisai, you're allowed to marry the mother-in-law. We, of course, Jews cannot. Others say, no, you can't live with the mother-in-law if the wife dies. But you see from Rav Meir that a ben Nuach is prohibited. On other ariases, that a Jewish Bezdin would not put to death. For example, achos imo. Remember we said, unless a Jewish Bezdin puts them to death, a ben Nochri is not prohibited. Here we see they are prohibited. These are only prohibited by Kores, not by Miso. On Rav Yehuda Loikasha, the second price is Rav Meir alibid Rabbi Eliezer. And the first price is Rav Meir alibid Rabbi Kiva. What's the price? It says Al Ken Yazov Ish Es Aviv Esimo. When a person grows up, he leaves his father and mother. V'davak bi ishto v'yulav asar echad. And he connects with his wife. They become one flesh. Rabbi Eliezer Oimer, Aviv refers to Achos Aviv, refers to his father's sister. He can't marry her. And Imo is Achos Imo, refers to the sister of his mother. But Rabbi Kiva Oimer Aviv is Eishes Aviv, but not the sister. That would be permitted. Imo means Imo Mamish. And what is V'davak lo b'zachar? It's a violation against homosexuality because it doesn't lead to dvekas. Be'ishto v'lo be'eshes chavero, can only live with his wife and not with the wife of a friend. Vayulav asar echad mishan asim basar echad. It's only prohibited if you can have a child with it. Yatsu be'em avachaya she'en asim basar echad. But you can't live with a behem or a chaya because you can't have children with them. Amar Mar. Rabbi Eliezer Omer Aviv means achos aviv. For the Gemara, ema aviv mamish. Maybe it's a prohibition of homosexuality. No, because hainu v'davak v'lo b'zach. We already learned that from the word v'davak. Ema le'eshes aviv. Maybe it refers to the father's wife. No, because it already says hainu ishto v'lo eshes chavero. Ema maybe lachar misa. Maybe it means not while she's married to the father, after the father's death, because then there's no eshes ish. So we say dumili imo. Ma imo. The isser is not issues. It has nothing to do with getting married. It's because of a relation. Av aviv de lav issues. It's a relative. Eliezer also says imo achos imo. The prohibition is to live with the sister of the mother. Ema imo mamish. Maybe it means the mother. What do you mean? Hainu bi'ishtav lo be'eshes chavero. Your mother is married to your father. Ema, maybe it's lachar misa. Maybe it's the prohibition to live with your mother after the death of your father. No. Because dumi de aviv. Ma aviv de lav mamish. Because we're not talking about living with the father. We're talking about relatives with the father. Af ima de lav mamish. We're not talking about relatives of the mother. We're talking about not talking about living with the mother mamish, but the relatives of the mother. All of this is the sheet of Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Kiva Omer Aviv means Eishes Aviv. Not the father's sister, but the father's wife. The ema aviv mamish. Maybe the prohibition is not to live with the father. So hainu v'davak v'lo b'zacha. That's the homosexuality prohibition has been learned from the word v'davak. Yach yeshes avi. What do you mean? The prohibition of the father's wife is hainu b'ishto v'loishes chavero. He can't live with a married woman. So we're talking about la'achar misa. We're talking about after the death of the father. There's no eshes ish. There's only the fact that she was married to the father. Now, imo means imo man. When the pasuk says imo, means not having relations with the mother. So the Gemara says, "I knew the ishta v'lo beishas chaver." The mother is married to the father. It's already asur beishas ish. So medubra al imo banu saso. We're talking about the father raped the mother, and he was the child. So they were not married. Still, there's an issue. B'maika mifugi. What's the machlokas between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Kiva? Rabbi Eliezer savar of aviv dumya de imo. The im yidu lo aviv. Lo mishkaches ela ba'achva. We're talking about it can only be similar father and mother, the father's sister and the mother's sister. Otherwise, there's homosexuality, but we don't need that because it says v'davak. We don't need the emo because of Ashes, because there's also Ashes ish. Rabbi Kiva mutav leukme be'Ashes aviv the ikri ervas aviv. It makes more sense to talk about the father's wife because ervas aviv always refers to the father's wife. Lafuke achos aviv, that's only she'er aviv ikri, but ervas aviv lo ikri. The father's sister is only called she'er. It's not called erva. So these are the two shitas of Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Kiva. We try to bring proof to one or the other. Toshma. It says, "Vayikach Amram es yochevedo daso lo leisha." Amram took his aunt as a wife. My love, dodoso menaim. That means it was a sister of the father and from the same father and the same mother. And he married her. So an achos ha'av is permitted. More says lo dodoso was the sister of the father, right? Because Kahas had a sister, which was Yocheved. Amram's father was Kahat. So they were only, and it's only from the same father, but not the same mother. It was not an achos aviv me'imo. The relationship was only through the father. And that's not considered, but for a ben Noach, that was not a prohibited relation. Toshma. Avram Avinu, in his discussions with Avimelech, said, V'gam amna achosi bas avihi. Sarah is my sister, the daughter of my father. Achlo basimi. Vatihi lilisha. Michlal, that it was a sister, basa'e masura, that the sister of the mother would also be considered prohibited for ben Noach. Is that so? Sarah wasn't Avram's sister, it was Bas Achivavi. Right? Avram's brother Charan, Sarah was his daughter. We are allowed to marry a niece, whether it's the father or the mother. And even a Jew can marry such a person. So what was Avram telling Avimelech? I'm related to her through sisterhood. Or through brotherhood, sisterhood, because she is the daughter of my brother. But me'aba v'lo me'ima. But it was from the same father, not from the same mother. Toshma, mipnei ma lo nasa adam es pito. Why didn't Adam Arishon marry his daughter? Because he wanted to have Cain, his son, marry his sister. Because it says, Ki amarti olam chesed yiboneh. Beginning of creation, people were allowed to marry their sisters that otherwise became an Avera. Because it says, V'ish asher yikachas achoisoi chesed. It was a chesed at the beginning of the world. Now, halavachi, if it wasn't for the fact that Hashem was matir, that a sister, it would be Asir, and it would be Kashal Rabbi Kiva. Kiva de Ishtri. Once it was permitted, it became permitted forever for the Bnei Noach. And it's only prohibited for Jews. Ravuna Nochri, Mutter Bebito, a goy can marry his daughter. Why didn't Adam Arishon marry his daughter? Because he wanted childbirth right away. Ravuna says that Nachri cannot live with his daughter. It's a proof that Adam did marry his daughter. But Veloyi, Rav Chizda, Eved, muter be'imo, muter be'bito. An Eved Kanani can live with his mother, can live with his daughter. Yotze Michlal Nachri, once he goes to the mikveh to work in a Jew's home, he's not really a goy anymore. A goy is prohibited with these relations. But L'chlai Yisrael lo bo, but he's not really a Jew yet because he has not had Milah. So he has no family relations on either side. Kiyasi Rav Dimi, B'Shem Elezer, B'Shem Rav Chanina, Ben Noach, Sheyichit Shivcha Avdo. A Ben Noach designates one of his shivchos for his eved to be a wife, and then Baal and have relations. Because Renera Galea is put to death because of Eishes Ish. The question is, Me'emus, when is this girl considered the Isha of the eved? Amrav Nachman, when they say this is the woman of Chaim Yankel, ume'emes hitarta, and when do they get divorced? Apparently, even non-Jewish women would go around with their heads covered. Think about the Arab women. Once they reveal their hair, that's proof that she's not married anymore, connected to anybody. Amrav Chanina. A Ben Noach who has Shelo Kedarka relationship, anal intercourse, chayiv. Should never have a dovak be'ishto v'lo shelo kedarka. He only has to have relations that lead to pruvu. However, Jews are allowed to have relations shelo kedarka. Is there such a thing that it's more stringent for a non-Jew than a Jew? So a Jew who has adultery with an Eishes Ish, whether it's Kedarka, Shelo Kedarka, you're Chayiv. But a Ben Noach who has illicit relations with an Eishes Ish, if it's Shelo Kedarka, it's Potter. My time, the Dovak be'ishto, v'lo be'ishes Chavero, it has to be, the Dovak does not include Shelo Kedarka. Amrav Chanina, Nachri shehikas Yisrael, a non-Jew that struck a Jew, chayiv, he's chayiv misa, because it says by Moshe Rabbeinu, vayifen kol vayarki anish vayachas hamitzri, right? B'nei b'chol. V'amrav Chanina soiter lo yashul Yisrael. A Jew slaps the cheek of a Jew, ki'ilu soiter lo yashul shchina. It's like slapping Hashem, because it says. Mukash Adam Yila Kodesh. A Jew is compared in a sense to the Shechina. Magbia Avdo Shabbos Simon, Amrish Lakish. Magbia Yodal Chaver, somebody lifts his hand to strike a friend. Avol Bishlo Yikau Nikra Rasha. You called it Rasha, Shenemar. Vayomer Rasha, Lama Sakareyecha. By Moshe Rabbeinu, he found Dasan Vaviran, he called one of them a Rasha. Doesn't say Lama Hikisa, doesn't say why did you strike him. And Lama Sak in the future. Aval bishloikau nikra Rasha. Amr Zir Em Rav Chanin nikra Chote. He's called a sinner. Shenemar v'im lo lakachti b'chazka uksivati chatas anarim gdola me'od. Ravuna Amar tikatzis yodu. By right, his hand should be cut off. Shenemar uzra ramot hishaver. Ravuna cuts yodu. Ravuna cut somebody's hand off who lifted his hand to strike a Jew. Rabbi Lazar Rami ein lo takona el kavura. Really, he should die. Shenemar v'each zra lo ha'aretz. He should be taken in by the land. Amar Rabbi Lazar lo nina karka l'balei zros. Land was given to strong people who can conquer it. But it also means that somebody who strikes somebody will be buried in the ground. If a person makes himself a slave to the ground, he'll be able to eat bread. It's hard work to bring wheat from the ground. The Nachri that observed the Shabbos, he's Chayv Misa. Shenemar v'yom v'layla lo yishbo, so he has to work every day. Being prohibited is their Misa. Even if he designated another day of the week, like Sunday, you're Chayv Misa. So why isn't included one of the Sheva mitzvahs? Ki kachoshiv sheval taisa. Only lavim. Kum v'asei, like to actively make a Shabbos, the Sheva mitzvahs Noach didn't count. Okay. Daf Yomi is at 7:00 tomorrow night.
It's
And-
it's a bit early now.
It's cutting it close.
Yeah,
Why? What time is Shabbos over?
6:30.
Oh, and I'm going to be in the valley, so I won't make it back.
Now, how can you?
Okay, so let's learn at 7. It won't take more than a half hour to learn. Let's learn at 7:30, and we'll do the Nach at 8:00.
So 7:30 and 8. Okay.
7:30 and 8. That
Okay.
should-
Okay, enjoy the valley. Enjoy the
Well,
valley.
it just happened in the there's a guest rabbi, Rabbi Jachter.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Chaim Jachter from New Jersey. He's a big Talmud Chacham,
Right.
and they have a strong residence with them in the valley. So my daughter just invited us
Oh, that's nice.
that afternoon.
Nice.
Enjoy.
Enjoy yourself.